So today we're going to use what we've learned so far to find out how, like we're going to do a word problem with the stuff that we talked about yesterday. Yeah? Sure. We'll also add on another little extra topic at the end, changing the form of a quadratic. We'll see what that looks like when we get there. But we have two objectives today. So word problems and then another little problem at the end, basically. Okay. So today's problem is going to require us to use a calculator. So I'm going to pause my video here for a second. I want you guys to come up here and grab a calculator, okay? So the hardest thing about the word problem is, well, not the hardest. I don't know if it's even the hardest, but it's just the new part is you need to be able to turn those words into a picture and then make sure you can identify the right points. After that, most of it's stuff that we've already done and should be familiar with at this point. So a basketball is thrown from an initial height of 6 feet. After traveling a distance of 8 feet, it reaches its maximum height of 12 feet. How far away is the ball when it lands? So we have a height and we have a distance. Is it starting from the ground or is it starting from a height above the ground? It's starting from a height above the ground. How high up above the ground is it? Okay, so I'm gonna put a mark. I'll put 6. So that's kind of like our starting point, right? 6 feet up off the ground. Now they say we're throwing a ball, so it goes up obviously and it comes down. So you're just gonna draw like a little parabola shape there, right? Now the rest of this is just gonna be labeling the points. So a basketball is thrown from an initial height of 6 feet. So this is a point. What are the coordinates of this point? 0 and 6, right? That's the starting height. After traveling a distance of 8 feet, it reaches its maximum height of 12. So that means it goes over 8 and up to the maximum height of 12. So this is going to be those two numbers. The horizontal distance it travels over is the x value. The maximum height that they give you is the y value. Okay. Now that's it. If you can do that, then the rest of the problem is stuff that we've already done. Okay, so that's the new part. Can you turn the words into a picture? So step 1 is super important for success on this type of problem because that's the only thing that's different. Now, what's the question asking us about here?
How far away is the ball?
Yeah. So it lands right here. You guys agree? So I want to know what number do I know right now, right off the top of my head?
It's something 0.
See, it's right. So I know this is 0. That's where it hits the ground. So my whole task is I want to figure out what that is. And that's a root, right? Of a quadratic, that's called a root. So we need two things. We need to write an equation, and then we're going to plug 0 in for y and solve for x. That's how you find the root. So the rest of it is like what we did last class, right? So let's label stuff. The only other thing that's going to be different, by the way, is sometimes you get crappy numbers with these word problem ones. They come out to be unpleasant, so you're going to get decimals, and that's why we have calculators. So the ugly part, the calculator is going to take care of it for us. That's the only thing else that's kind of weird about it. All right, so what's this guy called? 8. What letter? And these guys? And I'm not going to label this because that's what I want to find, so we'll leave that alone. All right, so we have all right, so I'm going to put my y here. That would be 6. I'm going to put my x here. That would be 0. My h and my k. Now we're going to solve for a there. So this is step 2. Just plugging in your numbers, right? So step 3, we want to solve for a. So here we go. 6 equals a times negative 8. Negative 8 to the second power is 64. And this is where the calculator is going to start coming in handy for us here, I think. Should we do this as a decimal? No, I think we'll leave this as a fraction for now. That's fine. So a is equal to negative 6 over 64, and we'll reduce it. I'll pause here for a second while you guys catch up writing if that went too fast. So what's the next step, guys? We're going to plug stuff in so that we can actually have an equation now, right? I haven't done that yet. So what we've done is we've plugged stuff in. Now I raised that to the second power to get 64. That's also known as squaring, so I don't know if you're talking about that. But the square root part, we're not there yet. We will get there. Okay, so now we're going to write our equation. That would be step 4, right? So we have, what's the equation going to be? Y. Great. So here's our equation. Now what am I trying to find again? That's right. So and what do we call that part of the graph? Where it lands on the ground? That's the root. How do you find roots? I heard somebody say something, I think. How do you find roots? Plug in 0 for y. So you guys can see one of the things that's kind of weird about these word problems, and that they just kind of keep turning out that way, is you get really weird a values. Like that's not a nice. Usually, like when we've been doing this, we've been getting nice numbers like 2 or 4 or 3, but that's a weird a value. It's like 3 over 32. But I'll show you how to deal with it. All right, so step 1. What do I do to solve? Well, what do I do to solve this now? Subtract the 12. Okay, now this is kind of a new algebraic step here that we haven't seen for a while here. Does anybody got any idea of what to do next? Okay, so there it is. So we want to get rid of this, right? Now yesterday we did it by division. Sometimes we did multiplication. So what we're going to do is we're going to multiply both sides by the reciprocal. So I'm going to expand this a little bit so you guys can see it a little bit better.
Wait, and then you divide it by -3.
Yeah. Actually, I think I'm going to do them both. That's a good. You know what? I think I will do that. You probably don't know what I'm thinking about. That's okay. Just ignore me. Okay. So what am I going to multiply both sides by? Yeah. So I'm going to multiply both sides by 32 like that. Oh wait. That's a 0, not a y. No, it isn't. It's a 12. I'm all off. I'm all off today. So we're multiplying by 32, right? Okay, so I'm going to need some calculator help there. What is 32 times 12? 284?
384.
Oh, 384. Now over here, these cancel out. Okay, so we have negative 384 equals negative 3 times x minus 8 squared. Okay, what's next? Maybe I could use my cards. I appreciate all the help I'm getting from some of you guys out there, but I want to see if maybe other people know. Adriana, what would I do next? Yeah. Good. Okay, so once again, I'm gonna use let's use our calculators. Let's use our calculators. Oh, it worked out to a nice number. That's kind of cool. It won't usually do that. I think at this point, a lot of times you're going to end up with a weird decimal-y number, but that's okay. We can just round it. This one actually divided nicely. Okay. Next one. Adrian. What's next? Mm-hmm. Okay. Now at this point, you guys, we're going to get a positive and a negative answer, but we're going to use our calculator. So you guys ready to follow along with me on how to do the square root? On the calculator, you're going to push second. Push second. And then find the x squared button, because right above it, you guys see the little square root symbol above there? So that's it. So push second, and then this. When you push second on a calculator, these buttons have two different things they do. This one can raise something to a second power, or it could be a square root. When you do second, it does the thing above it. So second, and then that button will give us a square root. So you guys should see a square root on your screen. And then type in 128 and just push equals. And you guys should be getting something that looks like this. Now, I'm going to round it to just 11. Did you guys get something pretty close to 11? It's really 11.313, and we could put those decimals on there. I don't think we need to be that exact. We're just going to estimate. We're going to round it to 11. Okay. All right. Edwin, what's next? Yeah, we're going to write two equations. So we're going to have x minus 8 equal to a positive 11, and x minus 8 equals to negative 11. And then from there, we're just going to solve. 19. And just so you guys know, once again, this is an estimation of the answer. It's not the answer. Remember, we had to round. So this is not exactly where it touches the x-axis, but it's close. Now, I'm going to go back to my picture here that I had. You guys still have yours, so I have to redraw mine, but you can just add this on your picture. Someone want to take a guess at what this number is then? Which one? 19. Why not this one? Well, that's negative, right? That's the other side of the parabola that is over here, but we don't care about that one. Okay, so we want the bigger one, basically, is how it's going to work. Go with the bigger one. So on your paper, make sure on your graph you guys draw an arrow from here to here, and that way you know what the answer is, okay? That's a long process. There's a lot going on there. So step one is what? Most important step. Turn it into a picture, because that's going to help you with the rest of the steps. So step one is to draw a picture. Got to make sure you label those points right. As you guys are working on this, I would check your picture with somebody, make sure they agree that you drew it right and labeled the points right. After that, the rest of it's just like what we did yesterday. It's just writing an equation and then plugging in 0 and solving for x. So let's see how you guys do with one. Let's see how you do with one. All right, so that's our first objective for the day. And we had to use calculators because a lot of it, although this one didn't need a calculator, it worked out pretty nice, right? If you guys didn't end up with weird decimals like I had. So this one you could have done without a calculator. But usually, just so you know, they will be ugly and weird. So does anybody need to write something down before I slide along? All right. So that's our first objective for the day, using a word problem. So this is kind of cool. If you know the starting height of an object and its maximum height, you should be able to predict how far away it'll be when it lands. That's kind of a neat physics question. Our second objective for the day now is to learn how to change the form. Lily. Shh, I'm teaching now, guys. So you guys may not remember this, but we talked about how quadratics come in two forms. Okay? This whole chapter is focusing on this guy, vertex form. It's really useful for graphing. But next unit, unit 7, we're going to be focusing on this, which is standard form. So we're going to start gradually easing our way into that. The first way we're going to do that is I'm going to show you how you can change a quadratic that's in vertex form into standard form. So that's our goal for today. The second goal for today is to change one of these into this. It's not changing the equation. It's just changing the way it looks. Like, for instance, if I gave you guys this, x plus 3 equals y. If I minus x on both sides, it's the same equation. I just moved stuff around. Well, that's exactly what we're going to do. I'm not going to change what the equation is. I'm just going to rearrange it so it looks different. Okay? So before we do that, I want to review a shortcut. Now, x minus h squared, that means x minus h is being multiplied by itself. Now, you could do this with a box. Box method will work. I'll write that as a note on the side. So if you don't like my shortcut, you don't have to use it, but I'll tell you it takes longer. So box method works, but I gave you guys a shortcut for these ones. Anytime you're multiplying a binomial by itself, the shortcut goes like this. First times first is what? Good. Last times last. Negative h times negative h. Positive h squared, right? Because two negatives make a positive. And the middle one is the trickier one. You multiply these together. X times h. And it's negative, right? X times negative h is going to be negative xh. But we're going to, good job, we're going to double it. So you end up with negative 2xh. Okay? That's a little shortcut that we talked about a while ago. Okay? So we're going to use that. I'm going to use the shortcut. But once again, box method works if you want to use that instead. But I'm going to use the shortcut. Okay? Can I delete? So let's do one here. So my goal here is I want to change this from vertex form into standard form. All right, so here we go. Step one, to get this into standard form. Remember, I want it to look like this. You don't need to write this, but I want it to look like this. That's my goal. So step one is to do this. And now we're going to use our shortcut. Okay? So why don't you guys try that really quick, and I'll ask you what you got. You do the shortcut. See if you can figure out what that would be there in the inside using our shortcut. Try the shortcut and fill in that blank for me.
Actually, we're doing that.
You all done? Great. Good. Nice job, Lily. Thanks. So Shakir, what did you get? X squared and then plus 9? I agree, but we should have something in the middle there. We should have something in the middle there. So let's see if maybe Himaya, what do you know what goes in the middle?
I didn't think so.
Okay. No problem. I know I might be going a little bit faster than some of you are ready for, but let's see. Miles, did you get the middle number? Okay, so we need to review. Okay, well, I'll ask Steve. Go ahead, Steve. In the middle? No.
Negative 3x.
Hold on, sorry. What's that? Close. What do you think, Maya? Negative 6x. All right. So what you do is you multiply these. What's negative 3 times x? Negative 3x. And you double it.
Oh, you distribute the two. You like 3x.
Oh no, yeah, you double. You just double the coefficient. So there's that. All right. So that's the first step. After that, so I'm just going to label this as step 1 is to rewrite. Step 2 is to use the shortcut or box. You can do what you want, but I'm going to use shortcut. I'm sorry, I'm going to use shortcut. You guys don't like that and you want to do box, you can. The next thing is we're going to distribute. So, boom, boom, boom. You guys think you might know what the last step is? Not quite the word I'm looking for. What do you mean by solve though?
Combine like
Yeah, there we go. So combine like terms. So we could put these together here. 2x squared minus 12x plus 22. Now, I did not change the equation at all. Like, I didn't change what it is. This equation is the same equation that's up here. It's just written differently. This one is in standard form. Okay? Why would we want to change the form? Well, honestly, you wouldn't. I very rarely would you ever want to change it from vertex to standard. I'm doing that to get you ready for something else later, though, that'll help. Because actually, what we're going to do later is we're going to go backwards. We're going to start here and get it back up to vertex form. If you know this, it kind of helps that idea a little bit better. Because we do like this form a lot. This one, we don't like it so much, so we do want to change it back. Okay, so today it's just kind of like something getting you ready for the more important thing. But today we're changing it. So rewrite the square as two binomials. Do the shortcut, distribute, combine like terms. Good? Can I erase? No. Okay. I wonder, is there a guided practice or student practice on this?
guided practice.
I bet you guys could, I don't know. We'll do a guided practice, I think, if we have time. Are we all good? All right, so let's do a guided practice. Let me ask Stephen, how do I write the first step? It says rewrite it is the first step. So what will I write?
3 and then do x plus 1 2 times.
Great.
Minus 8.
Great. Nice job. Okay, now let's try again. Last time we did this, most people didn't get that shortcut right. So let's try again. See if you can get it this time. Most of you guys understood. I think you guys know the first and last one pretty well. It's that middle one. Remember, you multiply them and double it. Let's try that again. All right. Brianna, you think you got an answer for me? She didn't trust you. That's okay though. Neon, you got an answer for me? Good. So that's the middle number. Very good. So you got the middle number. So the first number, what's the first number, guys? Good. What's the last number? 1. And the middle number is what you just told me, Neon. So it's these two multiplied together, which is 1x, and then you double it to get 2x. All right. Why don't you guys let's go ahead and finish it up. Let me ask Lily, what's next? Not yet.
We're gonna like rewrite it. Distribute.
There you go.
I was like,
Okay. Let me ask Alonzo, what's the last step? Okay. Oh, that wasn't you anyway. That was Azalea. Sorry. I need to look at the name more carefully. Crystal. What's the last step? Yeah. And that's our standard form. All right. So last problem for you guys is just try one on your own from beginning to end. There's a little negative here in the front. You can think of that as a -1, okay? I'm going to come around and check notes while you're working.